At some point in your lives, there will come a time where you find yourself speaking to a group of people. You may be talking in front of a classroom, or maybe giving a speech at your best friend's wedding. And hopefully one day you'll be giving an acceptance speech for a Nobel Prize. But if you're like most people, you'll be spending every minute leading up to this moment in the spotlight, preparing, worrying, and most likely waiting for it to be over. Public speaking is one of the top fears of most individuals, but it doesn't have to be this way. Scott Berkham is a best-selling author and public speaker for over 15 years, and has taken his time to reveal the techniques behind great public speaking. In his book, Confessions of a Public Speaker, Scott gives advice and shows how anyone can use these helpful tips to more effectively present ideas to crowds of all sizes. After reading this book, your public speaking skills will not only improve, but it will make the whole process of public speaking a fun experience. Today I'm going to discuss tips from Berkham's book about practicing and overcoming your fears that have helped me in my own public speaking, and I think will benefit you as well. One of the most obvious but overlooked tips Scott gives us is practice. As a public speaker, it's important to know your material and know what points come next. Scott tells us not to memorize our material, but to know what points come next and not to aim for perfection because mistakes will happen, but rather know your material enough to be comfortable and confident. Now, a lot of people don't really practice their speeches because it takes time, it's not fun, and you feel silly doing it. But Scott urges us to stand up on a desk or a chair, imagine an audience around you, and present exactly as if it was the real thing. While practicing, you'll stumble and get confused, but catching and fixing the problems while practicing will greatly improve the quality of your speech. By repeating this process and practicing over and over, you'll soon be comfortable enough with your speech to make it through the entire talk with little mistakes. I urge you, take the time, practice, and your speech will go smoother than ever. Unfortunately, however, with all the practice in the world, it's natural for our body to give off a nerve or fearful reaction to public speaking. So Scott offers some advice in his book for the inevitable butterflies. All of us have heard the timeless advice of when you're given a lecture to imagine the crowd in their underwear and naked. Scott urges you not to do this because it might make things uncomfortable, but to instead picture yourself in the audience. If you think back to the last time you sat in an auditorium listening to someone speak, or in the back of a classroom trying not to daydream, you remember that most people in the audience aren't judging you as much as you think. The truth is, no one in the room cares as much about how the speech goes as yourself. And if things do go wrong or you make a mistake, most of the audience will either not realize, not care, or simply not remember after the speech is over with. So Scott reminds us to forget our fears and use this nervous energy to prepare, practice, and persevere. Public speaking doesn't come easy to everyone, so remember to practice and fear not, because at the end of the day, it's just public speaking. If you would like more advice and tips to better your public speaking abilities, I urge you to read Scott Berkham's book, Confessions of a Public Speaker. You can find this book on Amazon.com and start reading today for less than $10. This is a small price to pay for a valuable skill you will use time and time again. So get reading and your next speech will be better than ever. Thank you.